Hello everybody, I'm Rand B, and today I want to show off a Blackwargreymon deck that I've built, and it is a black base, which is not like the red base that a lot of people are going to run, mainly because I'm just so used to playing black, and I want this to be a little bit black heavy so that I can transition into it better. And so if you're interested in a Blackwargreymon deck, well, this is the one for you. So first, the eggs, I start with one Sunimon because a lot of the cards will end up having the same name anyway, so adding that plus 2,000 can be very helpful sometimes to swing over things that are a little bit bigger, because black actually doesn't add as much DP as the red cards do. So you actually need to make up for that in a couple of ways, and which is what I do, and I will show you in just a second. One of those ways is with Pagumon. Since your Digimon are not swinging at big numbers, on deletion you can pick up a card with the Pagumon. As long as it's black, it'll go to your hand. And since this deck runs a lot more black cards, you will usually pick one out rather than not. So Pagumon is the choice for the baby, and you do want to go through a lot of your cards to get your combo pieces, and this is really good at getting those pieces if you do swing early. Next, we have Aguaman from BT8. This Aguaman lets you search for the top 4 cards and add a Digimon with Greymon or Dragonkin in its name, and a lot of the cards in here will be, of course, Greymon named, or even Dragonkin. So this card right here is especially useful. It can Digivolve from red or black, so it is able to go in a red base deck with red eggs, for example. But here, of course, it is even more useful. You can either Digivolve into it or just hard play it to search for your cards. Next, Toei Agumon. A big key for this deck is to have that reboot ability. So having the Toei Agumon with the reboot is particularly strong for reasons that I'll talk about in just a second. But you can also end your turn swinging and stand back up at the when your opponent's turn begins, and that's pretty good. Next, we have our Agument Blocker from the starter deck, from the black starter deck. This card is not very powerful. It is like one of the few blockers that you do get to run in here that don't have it inherited. And this is fine to block some attacks. If it's on top of Pagumon, you should not be scared to swing with it or to block with it, because you'll get to look at a card on top of your deck, and if it's black, it will go to your hand. So it can accelerate you getting pieces while chipping away at your opponent's security. So you should not be afraid to swing without block or Agumon. It doesn't lose memory or anything like that. So it's not going to be that terrifying if it doesn't survive. And if, in a pinch, you might throw it down so it can block a couple of attacks. You might need to do that sometimes. Next, we have Chumons, necessary DP. I'm sorry, not DP. The necessary memory blockers to keep your opponent from gaining memory from their Digimon, and as well as uh, from their effects and option cards. Next, I have the Searcher Agumon. We do run these so we can hard play and look for 3. It's just more searching combined with the regular Agumon that we want to run, which is the black one. But we try to bring this up with the Nokias. We do run 4 copies of Nokia, and so having all of these Searcher Agumons available to come out with Nokia is pretty big. So we just want to have more search ability with that. Next, we have the Greymon from BT8, 4 of those. This Greymon, if you have a red Digimon in play, this Digimon gains blocker. It includes itself if it itself is red. For example, you Digivolve into a red metal Greymon somehow. You would gain blocker that way. So you are able to have a strong blocker, and you can make your bigger Digimon, your high DP Digimon, into blockers with it as well. Here I run 3 Cyclonemon. They do qualify as Dragonkin, so they are capable of being pulled by the black Agumon. They also have an inherited when attacking, delete one of your opponent's 2000 DP or less, which could destroy Pokemon's memory blockers, things like that. They are pretty pesky, so it's a pretty good inherited. It can also do from red or black, so you can actually go off of your Agumon from it. You can go into any of the other cards that are in this deck with it, so it's pretty solid. You can, of course, also go with Greymon over the Agumon. Next, the cards that cannot do that is the Greymon, for which if you have Reboot, you gain Jamming. As I mentioned, you have cards here that are not very strong, so they could be killed by swinging into security. However, you can gain Jamming if you have Reboot with this Greymon, which you can get from the Agumon, Toei Agumon rather, right? So you can Digivolve on top of the Toei Agumon, and then if it Digivolves again, whatever is on top of it will have Jamming, and we have some pretty strong effects going on there with the swing. So the Jamming is not a bad thing to have. Next, we run 4 of the BT8 Metal Greymon, which is a huge piece. It de-Digivolves one of your opponents when Digivolving. That's pretty big for example, taking on blue, taking on Digimon that are pretty strong that you just want to um, make them go down, like a level 7 back down to a level 6, so on and so forth. It can derive from either black or red, which is pretty useful because we have a lot of black or red level 4s. It also has the inherited. While this Digimon has Dragonkin or Machine in its traits, it can attack your opponent's unsuspended Digimon. That's a huge combo with the Blackwargreymon, so we want to make sure that we get that out as soon as possible. And it can, of course, have reboot and jamming if you have a Toy Agumon and the Greymon with jamming in it. So you could swing and stand back up and then go Blackwargreymon the next turn. If you don't have it, then you get a free swing and you get to stand up and not get swung on. Right? So that's a pretty strong card. Next, we have one of the Alterous Mode Metal Greymons. When it goes off from another Metal Greymon, which it can go off of this Metal Greymon, it deletes a DP 4000 or less, which is pretty solid. It also adds 2000 DP to your Digimon if it's named with a Greymon or Omnimon. So either one of those cards will gain additional 2000 DP. So this is pretty good at getting you a little bit more DP if needed. Next, I run one of the black Metal Greymons, which if it has reboot against security attack +1. So if you get the whole stack, if you don't get the whole stack, you are able to gain reboot from this Metal Greymon and gain the jamming with the Greymon. Even if you just have these two on top of each other, you can swing, reboot, and then you'll have jamming. And then if you digivolve this again, you have security attack +1 if you have a Toy Agumon under it, because it does give reboot to your Digimon. So you get the stack of pretty good effects there. Next, I run 2 of the Metal Greymon from EX01. This Metal Greymon would give your Blackwargreymon piercing. And also, when attacking, kills a 4000 DP. So sometimes you might want to do that. You can also, of course, gain jamming if you have a Toy Agumon Greymon combo and get some swings off with it, which is not a terrible thing to get some jamming rebooting combos out. Next, I run 3 Blackwargreymons currently. Mainly because I haven't opened that much and I don't have that many Blackwargreymons, but 3 has been all I've needed so far in my attempts. And if you're not familiar with Blackwargreymon, what it does is when digivolving, if you have a black source under it, it can target a tamer. If it has a red source under it, it can target Digimon, and you can delete up to 6 total play cost worth of those cards on the field. So if you are digivolving off a black Digimon, you can kill up to 6 memory cost, play cost worth of tamers. For example, you could kill 3 analog boys, you could kill 1 4-drop memory tamer and 1 2-drop memory tamer. I mainly want to use it to kill memory tamers, and since we have plenty of black options that can go under it, it usually will target tamers. So your opponent can say bye-bye to their tamers very often with the Blackwargreymon here. And of course it swings for 12k. And its other ability is that once per turn, when your opponent's Digimon is deleted, you can unsuspend, so it is able to stand back up after killing something. And if you stack it on top of the Metal Greymon, you are able to kill a Digimon that's standing and then re-stand back up. And then you can check security again and jam it, or security check +1 if you have the right pieces under it. So making it pretty solid there. Its DP is not super high, so there are some Digimon that can swing over it. But if you have reboot, then you don't have to worry about that. And if you have jamming, then you can swing away, no problem. Next, I run the Blitz Greymon for de-digivolution purposes, as well as piercing. Sometimes I find it more often than not that you want to be piercing because you're killing Digimon left and right with this deck. You might want to have that piercing and checking the security as you're doing that. So I went ahead and included Blitz Greymon. It has a Greymon, so it can be reduced that cost with Nokia. And of course, the de-digivolve helps out quite often. So I run one of these Blitz Greymons, a little bit of a tech in here for this deck. Next, we have a Blitz Omnimon. Blitz Omnimon, you can stand back up and swing again. You can also keep yourself from being destroyed by sending back a level 6, and that's pretty useful to maybe do a knockout punch with Omnimon. Sometimes you just need an additional quick punch there. It is a very cool card to run. I run 2 Marcus Daemons. I've gained plenty of memory. Marcus Daemon gains 1 memory when attacking with a Greymon card if you tap it. And of course, it's also a memory tamer. I only run 2. 3 has been a little breaky for me. I figure I don't need that many, but if you can get one out, whenever you swing, you'll also gain memory and continue to go. Black Tie gives your Digimon plus 1000. Sometimes it is needed for blocking, for example. With an Aguaman, if you have this out and you have your blocker Aguaman, you can kill some of the small Digimon that sometimes like to swing, take them with them, and then draw a card if it's black from the top of your deck. And of course, it's a memory tamer, so pretty solid card in some text here. I run one of the ties from bond for the bond card, not because we're gonna go into a bond of bravery Agumon, but mainly because we are gonna be raising so many Agumons and Greymons that that draw and that memory gain are gonna be super useful. So we also run one of those. Next, I run 4 Nokias. They let you play an Agumon for free. So what I like to do is, if I have a Nokia in hand and an Agumon in hand, I like to play one and then the other. Based off of the other, both of them will come out together. They'll search, and you have a Nokia, so whenever you Digivolve into a Greymon, you can tap to Digivolve for 1 cheaper. So if you have multiple of them out there, you can actually come out for free. You cannot gain memory this way. That deck has the red Greymon that gains memory, so it is not possible to do that, but it is possible to come out for free or very cheap. We run 1 Dark Gaia Force. Sometimes you just got to deal with a big mess out there. So we go ahead and run one of those. Kills 15,000 DP in total on the floor. And then 1 Ultimate Flare. Sometimes you just got to delete a bunch of little guys who are not swinging. Ultimate Flare works pretty good for that. And then an Iron Fist, just to have a little bit more protection off of your options. All of these are meant to destroy Digimon without needing to have a higher DP. Because sometimes you just want to get rid of something that's very strong and your opponent is so desperate that they give you a lot of DP, and all you do is just strike back strong and take out their field. And I've had many times where this deck has wiped clear a board off of Tamers as well as Digimon, and we are able to just swing away, jamming into their security and win games. All right, thank you guys so much for watching this deck profile. If you liked it, please make sure you subscribe, give it a follow on Twitch if you haven't. I appreciate it, and I'll see you all in the next video.